What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is your review for Marrying Millions, Season 1, Episode 6. So, let's go on and jump into it. So, we have Rosie and Drew, honey. Now, Drew was so worried about the fact that Rosie was worried about his past, that we know that on the last episode, he done went out and bought himself an engagement ring. He gonna ask Rosie to marry him. And so he is planning this whole romantic weekend getaway to New York, honey. He done told her to pack her bags. And this how you know that you might be in the wrong relationship. When your man tell you pack your bags, and you automatically think, oh shit, this is when he about to put me out the house. That's when you probably in the wrong relationship, okay? She said, oh, wow, I was thinking, he told me pack my bags, and I was like, dang, is it over already? Girl, are you that insecure in your situation? He told you to pack your bags because he was taking you to New York. She was like, we flew first class and everything. You should fly first class because he's rich. That's what rich people do, okay? They get to New York. They look like they booked into one of those nice little boutique hotels in New York. They had a nice room with a balcony and all that good stuff. And I think they went on. I think they went to a Broadway show and they went to nice restaurants and stuff like that. And he took her shopping and he took her to one of those boutiques. And again, we're talking about boutiques that have designer labels that you don't hear all the time. She picked up a jacket. The jacket was $6,000. Okay. Or was it $3,000? And the skirt was another $4,000 or $5,000. By the time she picked out an outfit, she had spent $10,000, and it was just the outfit. And you know, he told her, "Get what you want, child." You know, one of those boutiques where you walk in, they pour you some champagne and stuff. All that, one of them, and you get a personal shopper. One of those boutiques, and she had a good time. Listen, I would have enjoyed it too. Okay, and he told her to get what you want, and they went out to a nice restaurant. You know, order what you want, girl. And then they came back to the hotel, and he ended up taking her to a different suite than where they were. And she was like, "This ain't our room." He said, "I know, just go ahead. It's okay." She was like, "It's okay." Takes her out on the balcony. There's a violin playing. I want to say it was a quartet or but I could be wrong. But the violin was playing, the rose petals on the ground, they overlooking the New York skyline. It was really, really nice. And then he gets down on one knee and he proposes to her. And of course she said yes, and they're happy, and now it's time to start planning the wedding. But remember, her friends are not here for for Drew, and her family ain't, listen, her family ain't, I don't even know if they even speaking at this point. So that's that. Okay, that's Rosie, and that's Drew. Okay. Brie and Bill. Now listen. Brie had to go home and tell her family that she is moving to Miami. So she talks to her dad first. And she says, you know, Bill is doing some work. You know, the company he's working with, they're based in Miami. And, you know, we've been talking about moving to Miami, you know, permanently. And the dad was like, permanently? Now, she said that she's a daddy's girl. She said every Sunday her and her dad meet up. Every Sunday her and her dad meet up for lunch, and that's like their little thing, and that she's a daddy's girl. And the dad was like, do you like moving to Miami? And she was like, well, what do you think? And I feel like she wanted him to object or make a big deal about it. And he was like, listen, you grown, like, do what you want to do. Of course he doesn't want her to move to Miami. And he says, you know, I'm not too sure about Bill. I mean, I know Bill has a lot of money, but you don't need money to be happy. So I feel like he was being very nice for the camera and not saying too much. But I know you could tell he wasn't happy about her moving to, about them planning to move to Miami. Now the next day is a birthday party for her brother and sister. They're celebrating, and so they're at the party, and Bill shows up at the party, and you can tell that he's been around them before. Like, he has a certain, you know, and he said that, you know, her family parties aren't like the family that the parties he's normally used to going to. The parties he goes to are catered events and all of that. And of course, the family is just, it's a family, little good old fashioned get together type of thing. But you can tell that he's been around them before. I mean, they're laughing, they're joking, he's very comfortable with them, you know, all of that. And he brings up that her brother is there. And he brings up them moving to Miami. And of course, the dad knew, but the brother didn't know and nobody else knew. And he was like, you didn't tell anybody? And she was like, yeah, nah, I hadn't mentioned it to the family yet. Hadn't really brought that up yet. Thanks for telling everybody before I was ready for them to know. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, when was you gonna tell them? You know. And the brother was kind of like, you know, he was joking, but he was serious. Basically telling him, you better treat my sister right or I'm gonna have to come down. He was like, I don't like the fact that she's not gonna be a phone call away anymore. Like, if she calls me and she needs me right now, I can get to her. But if she's in Miami and she needs me, he said he had already mapped it out. He was like, yeah, that's like a 12-hour drive. I can't get to her as fast as I need to get to her. And I think it might be longer than 12 hours if you want to know the truth of the matter. But maybe he said it was more than a day. Anyway, it was too far away. So the brother sort of was like, he was joking, but he was serious. But he kind of hit him with the, you better, you know, don't make me have to come down to Miami and come get my sister type of thing. But he kind of played it off a little bit, but he was serious. You know he was serious, child. Gypsy and Brian. Now, we meet Brian's dad, which we find out is really his stepdad, but he's basically raised Brian. They've been, you know, and he's telling him about Gypsy and everything. And the dad said, does she know you live at home? I was like, dang, that's kind of messed up. Does she know you live at home with your parents? And he said, yeah, I told her, you know. And he said that, you know, things been going really well with us, and maybe we'll even, you know, get to the point where we're going to move in together, you know, and maybe even get married. Now, the dad was basically giving him some tough love and telling him, listen, at the end of the day, she might be the moneymaker, but you still need to be the head of your household. And what are you going to do to... And I don't think he meant that in like a caveman way. I think he was trying to tell him, like, you're going to need to step up to the plate. Like, you're dating a woman with money. And so you're going to have to step up to the plate. Like, what are you going to bring to the table? And he told him, he was like, listen, what you going to do to assert yourself and make sure that you are the head of this household, and that you are, you know, giving and getting the respect that you deserve and that you're supposed to, you know, have or whatever as the head of the household. But I felt like the stepdaddy wasn't real impressed with Brian, and I feel like he might not be necessarily so happy with Brian living with the girlfriend or whatever. So we see them later on in the episode. They go out to eat, and they're at this nice restaurant, you know, one of those restaurants where the cocktails are $50-$60, right? And, you know, once again, you know, Brian is playing this. I don't think Brian is as clueless as he pretends to be about stuff. You may not have ever experienced certain things, but you know they exist in the world. Like, you may not have ever eaten escargot, but you know escargot exists. That kind of thing, right? And so she said, you know, it's cool, you know, to sit at home eating a pizza and watching TV, but every once in a while I do want to go out, and I like going to nice restaurants. And so I feel like Brian doesn't want to go out a lot, not because he likes being a homebody, but because he just can't afford to do it. And he certainly can't afford to do it on the scale that she enjoys going out or is used to going out. And I think that's part of the problem as well. So they were at this upscale restaurant, and they said something about who was going to pay. And he said, well, you know, I don't have the money to pay. And she said, you've never paid. She was like, I always pay. And he was like, that's not true. You know, I pay sometimes. And she was just looking at him like, when? And he said, well, here's the thing. I tell you what, when we go to, like, you know, fast food and stuff, I got that. And when we go to these restaurants, these high-end restaurants that you like to go to, then, you know, you can take care of that. And again, on one hand, I'm like, oh, wow, you said that. That was kind of rude. But on the other hand, it's kind of like, well, I mean, you know he don't have no money. Like, if he's taking you to Applebee's and you getting the 2 for $10 special or the 2 for $20 special, that's what he can afford. He can't go to a restaurant where the appetizer is $60. Like, you know, that's just not his, that's not in his wheelhouse. And, you know, to Gentee's, to her defense, she was like, I'm not going to apologize for being wealthy. I'm not going to apologize for being rich because I worked for it. Like, nobody gave it to me. And so I respect that too. And she shouldn't have to. But all I'm saying is, you know, you're dating someone that doesn't have any money. So or doesn't have a lot of money. And so those are the things that y'all are going to have to be okay with. And again, it's funny because we never have those conversations when the situation is reversed. We never have those conversations when the man is rich and the woman doesn't have any money. It's just expected that that's what's going to happen, and that you're just going to have to be okay with it. You know what I mean? And so we just going to have to figure out a new normal, because the roles are sort of reversed in their relationship. It is what it is, child. Then we have Katie and Colton. Now listen. Katie done went down to North Carolina. Her mom lives in North Carolina. Now, Katie's from D.C. She said she grew up in D.C. But she moved to North Carolina. Well, her parents moved to North Carolina. And that's where they live. Her dad passed away from cancer. She said her mom was the caretaker. Now, we find out that Mama is not here for this relationship with Colton. And she brought Colton and the daughter to the beach house. She has a nice 3-story beach house right on the Outer Banks. It's got an elevator. I mean, it's a gorgeous beach house. And she said she goes to North Carolina as often as possible because that's where her mom is, and she goes to visit her mom as much as possible. Now, she said when my mom first met Colton, she wasn't here for the relationship. And so it made me sort of question this timeline, because I'm thinking to myself, so you told your mom about the fact that you were dating your daughter's friend before you told your daughter what was going on? And then I was like, so did the grandmother, does the grandmother not know about the relationship between that they're friends? Or does the grandmother, I just thought that was weird. That the mama knew before your daughter, before you had because I feel like that's the respect that you should have for your daughter. That you should have let your daughter know, hey, this is what's going on, you know? So the daughter still thinks the whole thing is weird. And I was wondering, through all of this, where are her other 2 children? I mean, are they with their daddy? Because this is episode 6, and I have yet to see her other kids. I only see this oldest daughter. And I understand if they're not a part of filming, but where are they? Are they with their daddy? Are they with the nanny? Where are they? Y'all took a whole trip to North Carolina, and the kids ain't with you. Are they with their dad for the summer? Anyway. So we see them meet up. They're having lunch, and Colton, of course, is nervous. He was like, I know her mom ain't really feeling me, but it is what it is, because I know what I bring to the table. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what you bring to the table, bruh? You dropped out of college. You don't have a job. What are you bringing to the table? You must be slinging it. It must be, gigantic, and you slinging it. That must be what you bringing to the table. Because now, Mama is just not here for it. And Mama lets them know, listen, I feel like all you are is a boy toy to her, okay? And when she gets done with you, basically the same thing her parents said. But the reverse was that she feels like maybe Colton might be using her a little bit. What are you getting out of this arrangement, this relationship? And I think that might be some validity to that. Not so much that I think Colton has any nefarious intentions, but he certainly reaps the benefit of being involved with a wealthy older woman. I think Colton is a nice guy. I think he's a nice guy. I really do. But at the end of the day, the adults in this relationship see it for what it is. They see the situation for what it is. So, anyway. Oh, did I tell y'all that Brie's daddy is 51? So you dating a man that's 9 years older than your daddy? That's nasty. Anyway, y'all, that is pretty much this episode. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in those comments, please.